Finally. It's my go. God! Oh, it's bigger!
Oh, yes.
On the inside.
Look, we need to concentrate.
There it is.
Yep, I know where you're going with this, but I need you to calm down.
On the outside.
Oh, you certainly grasped the essentials.
My entire understanding of physical space has been transformed! Three-dimensional Euclidean geometry has been torn up, thrown in the air, and snubbed to death. My grasp of the universal constants of physical reality has been changed. Forever. Sorry. I've always wanted to see that done properly.
Just the teeniest bit sorry we didn't get a Christmas tree. I mean, even though they're dirty and messy and corny and cliched.
Well, where are you going to find a tree at this hour on Christmas Eve?
Once again, it was Christmas Eve. Night was falling, and the lamplighters were plying their trade.
Hey, light the lamp, not the rat, light the lamp, not the rat!
My apologies.
What are you doing? Put me out, put me out, put me out, put me out, put me out! What? Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
You wouldn't want to hurt a fellow civil servant, would you? What's all this violence? It's Christmas, and I was just delivering some Christmas. Hey! Back up! This is a homemade explosive device, and I'll blow it up. You know why? Because I work for the post office, so you know I'm not stable. Now put the guns down. Now! Put them down. Brother, man, put your gun down. Everybody! You too, Barnaby Jones. All right, just stay there. And I'll know if you move, because I have the ear of a snake. Chop in.
Oh, you shouldn't mess with that.
Relax, Sparky. I was on the bomb squad for 10 years.
Got me feeling a bomb? Just a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
How many years in the bomb squad?
Reserve your opinions, gentlemen. Hear me out. Across the river, 10 miles downstream, is the village of Trenton. It is held by 1,200 Hessians with Rahl in command. They have food, warm clothing, blankets, tents, cannons, muskets, ammunition, in short, everything we need. In 4 days, it will be Christmas. There will be a great deal of feasting and a great deal of drinking by the Hessians that day and night. I propose that on the eve of December 25th, we cross the river, march on Trenton, and attack the Hessians before dawn. And if God is with us, we'll take the whole lot of them.
It's the wonder of nature, baby!
I have the introduction actually in the brand detail for StreamYards. Yes, that's an applause for me and me only. But those that know the suffering know. Well, like the last intro, it was too big file wise, so I couldn't actually upload in StreamYard. So every time I would have to go live, I would have to upload a special video file to share to my screen to play the video, and it was tedious. So I don't think that's going to be the new permanent intro. What you just saw, that was just an extension of the new channel trailer, and I'll figure that out when I get there, when I have time. Time, what's that? I don't ever have time. I'm supposed to talk about pastime, but I have no time to talk about pastime because my present time is consumed by the god-awful education system here in the United States of America, as well as work, which is very important. I get employed. I work a certain amount of hours, then I get a paycheck, and then I can use that to back all of our exploration so we can do proper edu-medication for everybody here who joins Readout Productions. How's everybody doing? Let us know. If you're tuning in tonight, let us know in the chat. We are going to be talking about the Polar Express. No, really. We're talking about the Polar Express. It was a real train. It is a real thing. It really existed. I'm going to show you. Look, I'm going to hit the present button. I'm going to share my screen. And then you're going to see there it is. See, it's real. I told you guys. Don't you believe me? Don't you believe me just because I showed you a photo? You know, they say in the movie, seeing is believing. But then they also say the most real things are what we can't see. We'll get there when we get there. So yes, we are going to be talking about the steam locomotive that inspired the picture book and then eventually the movie Polar Express. And Skunk's worship. Wow, I was about to say worship. I'm going to drink more of my... It's not hot chocolate anymore. It's lukewarm chocolate. At least it's chocolate. At least it's chocolate. Skunk's Workshop, how are you doing? Long-time supporter here for the channel. You believe in me. I don't think you need to... I don't know if you should believe everything I said. I mean, you know, we went to the Mystery Flesh Pit once here. Now, that did happen. But then I also talked about Mothman once here. I talked about Mothman last year, actually, last December. And nobody watched that video. Everybody just steered clear of it. They're like, Readout is being weird. We're not going to go over there. We'll just wait until he makes a train video. Well, that waits today. We're gonna talk about trains. Yes, everybody cheer. Readout's gonna talk about trains, and the world will be right. All right, let's get back up here on the big screen. So the real Polar Express. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a Berkshire. I can't speak tonight. A Berkshire steam locomotive that was operated by the Perry Marquette Railway back in the 1940s. A little bit of background about what type of locomotive we're talking about. Actually, first, let's talk about a bit of the rail system it operated on. The Perry Marquette Railway. It operated between 1900 and 1947, predominantly around the Great Lakes region, and eventually it would be acquired by the Chesapeake and Ohio Railway, which we were talking about a few weeks ago when we talked about C&O number 614. And if you also remember from that stream about 614, where we're talking about in the late 1920s into the 1930s, all the railroads were trying to find ways to get bigger and bigger fireboxes on their mainline steam locomotives, because more fire that you can make, ideally the more steam that you can produce in your boiler, and that'll give you more power for your locomotive. But you also want to make sure you were designing a locomotive that wasn't too heavy for your rails, or else you're going to have to, get even stronger rails, and that kind of defeats the purpose of the new technology. You just kind of go in the hole then. So a lot of different locomotive builders as well as railroads were investing in different ideas, different designs to find the next great locomotive. And one of the most successful in this period were the Berkshires. These were initially built by the Lima Locomotive Works in Lima, Ohio, but they would also be built by some other builders. Alco, actually, the American Locomotive Company, they would also build their versions of Berkshires. And the Berkshire basically is a 284 wheel arrangement. The big difference being instead of you having maybe your 282s, which were your Mikados, and we've actually seen Mikados here quite often here in Readout Productions. We've seen them there up the East Broad Top Railroad. Those are technically Mikados, though they are a lot smaller than a traditional Mikado because they run on narrow gauge lines. Now I am going down that rabbit hole. We're going to get out of the East Broad Top rabbit hole. I can do that any week. Yeah. So they're very similar to your Mikados, just they put an additional wheel on the rear there. So instead of 282, which is a Mikado, you got a 284 now, which is your Berkshire. And they're pretty all around well built. You know, they are large, of course. I mean, they're over 100 foot long, if I'm not mistaken. They're about 15 feet tall, but nothing looks out of proportion. It's just a solid, large steam locomotive. And the Perry Marquette would actually order 39 of these Berkshire locomotives over the course of the railroad's operation, beginning in the 1930s. And by the way, the name Berkshire actually comes from where the Lima Locomotive Works experimented with the line. They took it up to New England, and they actually ran their prototypical Berkshire up there in 1925 on the Berkshire Hills. We need Wrangler right now. We need Wrangler. He'd probably tell us where Berkshire Hill is. So there were almost 40 of these, 39 technically, 39 Berkshires that were ordered by the Perry Marquette Railway from the late 1930s into the early 1940s. And they came in 3 different phases. You had the N class, the N1 class, and the N2 class. Really, the classes, because it was when Lima would ship over glumps of these Berkshire locomotives. And in October of 1941, the Perry Marquette received. Let's go get the baby photo. Let's go get the baby photo of Perry Marquette 1225. If I can find it. Oh no, that's on it. We're going too far. There it is. There it is. There it is. Brand new in late. Why aren't you sharing? Wait, no. Oh my. What are you doing, StreamYards? What are you doing? You have one job and you failed. You were supposed to show this image. There it is. There's the newborn image of Perry Marquette 1225 in October of 1941. This was N1 class. So like I said, you had the N classes, and then the N1s were usually in the 1200 range, their numerical designation. It just a nice shiny locomotive. It's like you find it out of a image book. Anyways, we'll more on that later. If I can get back to the studio. There we are. We're back in the StreamYard studio, so I can keep reading to you. Perry Marquette 1225 in particular cost about 245. Why can I not do numbers tonight? More lukewarm chocolate. $245,000. Yeah, $245,000. Yeah. Why can't I pronounce it? Yet. Ugh. It's been a long day. There's a lot of furniture was moved today, guys. I greatly apologize. My brain's breaking down in real time, and you're getting to all watch it. Costs a lot of money, over $200,000, $245,000. That is what Perry Marquette 1225 cost the Perry Marquette Railway in October of 1941. And it was somewhat worth it. It had a tractive power of, just a little 5,000 horsepower. See, there we go. We got Hobo Blue Eye letting us know. Berkshire Mountains in Berkshire County in Massachusetts. We had a thing in elementary school, me and one of my friends, we would just for whatever reason, we would not say Massachusetts, right? We would just drag it out, and it just annoyed everybody in the class. Why did I remember that? More lukewarm chocolate. Yep. It's one of them nights. I was going so good. I was probably running too hard, honestly, in those opening minutes. I was just so excited to get on the stream after much delay. And then the brain unraveled. Back to the notes, which, by the way, if you want to go through the notes and probably read them more coherently than me, you can join the Garrison. That is our membership program here at Readout Productions, which can be accessed through Ko-fi. The link is in the description below. And for a small monthly fee, you do get access to select notes from our live streams, including this very stream about Perry Marquette 1225 and how it became the Polar Express. You'll get some behind the scene photographs, behind the scenes deleted scenes. Always trying to experiment with new ideas for the membership program. So be sure to head over and check that out if that would interest you. If you would at least want to get the coherent facts, because clearly I can't do them. So yeah, Perry Marquette, 1225, October 1941, 5,000 horsepower. Very, very powerful steam locomotive. It enters service no sooner after it arrives for the Perry Marquette Railway. But interestingly enough, this beautiful locomotive and all of its sisters, they really only operate for a decade. So they operate through the Second World War, and they operate after. When the Chesapeake and Ohio merges with when the Perry Marquette merges into the C&O, there was a situation because the C&O actually had they basically had identical versions of the Berkshires. The C&O called them their Kanawha locomotives. So there was a controversy over what was going to happen with the numerical designation because they were all contradicting each other. Most of the Berkshires ended up, I'm trying to think, there was, I'm going to say one, if not two of the class of Berkshires, they ended up having their paint scheme changed, new number boards put on so they wouldn't conflict with the C&O designations, but not the N1 class. So 1225 and the N1 class locomotives, they actually got to keep they still got to keep their Perry Marquette lettering, Perry Marquette numbering, even after they became part of the Chesapeake and Ohio. There's a interesting little tidbit. So you would be there in 1950, on C&O property, and you'd see a Perry Marquette rolling by. Just all part of the very convoluted contract. Don't worry about it. And in 1951, basically all the Berkshires, by the end of the year, they're going to be retired, as with most of the steam locomotives that the Chesapeake and Ohio had, because they're going over to diesel. So 1225 and its sisters, they start collecting dust in old rail yards, and one by one, they start getting scrapped. It's really by sheer coincidence that 1225 was in, I guess, on one of the ends of the scrapping line that was easily accessible. That in 1957, the Chesapeake and Ohio chairman did a favor for Michigan State University, who were interested in acquiring a steam locomotive for display purposes to be a nice ornament on their campus. And the C&O chairman's like, yeah, go down over there, pick whichever one you want. 1225, that's easy. We can grab that very easily, and it's in nice condition. And that's the reason this locomotive was saved. There's no sentimentality attached to it or anything like that, as you may hear with some other stories of historical preservation. No, this was sheer dumb luck. So 1225 is pulled out of the scrap line, one of two of the N1 Berkshires that would be spared the cutting torch. The other will be 1223. So 1225 in 1957 essentially gets stuck taxidermied in the middle of Michigan State University's campus for all to see. And that really was the plans for the locomotive. But you probably know that there's more to the story. So what's going to end up happening is around the time we get into the late 1960s, there is a movement of students and alumni that are interested in actually seeing this locomotive get back into operation. They're going to form the Michigan State University Rail Club, and they're going to start going about figuring out how could they, first of all, acquire the locomotive, purchase it from the university, and then find a place that they can fix it. That's a little bit more difficult. And this will go on throughout the 1970s, trying to raise the funds and then trying to find a locale where they could actually do repairs on a steam locomotive, especially one of a size like a Berkshire. It's also around this time a certain person is going to graduate Michigan State University in 1972, a guy by Chris Van Allsburg. He's somebody who goes on and writes books, apparently. I've been told he's very important. So he'll graduate, and he, depending on who you ask, some say that as a child, he got to play on 1225 when it was put on display. I think it was more he saw it when he was on campus because he graduates in 1972. So he'd been right at the time when this rail club is forming, right around the time the buzz is building up about a possibility of restoring this to operating condition. This will all be very important later. Eventually, the Michigan State University Rail Club, they're going to redesignate themselves as, I think it was I don't even actually have it down here in my notes anymore because they change their names a bunch of different times. They go through a couple. I think it's like the Michigan State Rail Trust is what they get rebranded by the early 80s. But they do succeed in acquiring property. Former Ann Arbor steam shops they end up acquiring in, I have to pronounce a word. Owasso? Is it Owasso, Michigan? They acquired these former steam back shops for the Ann Arbor. And they're going to move 1225 over there in the early 80s. And that is where the restoration effort is going to occur. And I couldn't find too much detail how difficult this restoration was. I'm going to assume it was as easy as a steam locomotive could be getting it back in operating condition, as easy as possible, and that it was highly time consuming. But since it had ran pretty smooth for a decade and enjoyed a life of luxury as an ornament for Michigan State University for the rest of its life, I'm going to assume it wasn't too difficult to get all the gears going back in operation. And indeed they did. By 1985, Perry Marquette 1225 was back in operation, running steam excursions, initially just in Michigan, but eventually by the 90s, it's going to start touring other parts of the former Chesapeake and Ohio rail system, which by that point is being reorganized as CSX transportation as we know it today. But that's not where our story ends, as you probably imagine. So that Michigan State University graduate, Chris Van Allsburg, in 1985, he's going to publish a very popular picture book, The Polar Express. And wouldn't you know it, the train that takes our young hero from, well, they do technically call him Hero Boy in the movie. That's all their name. That takes him on the night of Christmas Eve on a ride to the North Pole so he can, kind of where he's kind of testing his faith on does he truly believe in Santa or not. The locomotive that is used for this mythical rail steam train is Perry Marquette 1225 because, funny story, that's the one he walked past every day going to classes. Yeah, it would leave an impact on you after some time. So yeah, Perry Marquette 1225 is what inspired Allsburg to create the steam locomotive and Polar Express. And that goes on to great acclaim. The Perry Marquette 1225 in real life, it starts doing excursions. And then things get really interesting around the early 2000s. Around 2002, by this point, the small rail club had now grown into the Steam Railroading Institute, which is still around today, still based out of Owasso, Michigan. Officials from Warner Brothers Studios come knocking, and they want access to all the archives that the Institute have on 1225 because they're going to digitally recreate it for a movie, for an adaptation of the Polar Express. So not only does Perry Marquette it doesn't just simply inspire the book, it becomes it is the centerpiece of the movie, even though it's not physically there. They got access to all the blueprints, took scans of them all. They also would do recording sessions. I think it was around the 2002 or 2003 Christmas train season. They actually would record all the audio they could of all the different noises that 1225 makes when it's in operation. And all of that would be put into the production of the actual movie, The Polar Express. And then when it came out in 2004, the whole Polar Express motif, which Christmas and trains were already kind of going hand in hand, going back to the days of model train layouts being underneath Christmas trees and always a go-to present. Well, it just exploded after the movie came out. And boy, Warner Brothers had a market that they could license out to railroads so so railroads could bring in droves of tourists, droves of riders. So like I would say every single railroad that does a passenger excursion of some type, they have some form of the Polar Express. Most of them aren't literally called the Polar Express for copyright reasons. So you got stuff like the North Pole Express, the Polar Bear Express, Santa's Express, you have, the Holiday Express, but they're all doing the same basic thing. They all, you're going to get to meet Santa. You're going to get to have hot chocolate. You're going to have, I'm sure there's very fancy tickets. There's all of this. I'm sure there's a music number on it, everything. They're all the same thing. They're all the same thing. I know near me, we actually have the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad. They actually operate. They do actually do pay for the license, so they can actually use the Polar Express name, and they can use all the Polar Express imagery, the music, the works, and stuff like that. I think the Steam Railroad Institute did at one point. I mean, if you looked at the earlier image, I would assume because they actually had Polar Express plastered on the side of the tender. I mean, it's ridiculous when you see the image again. It's like Polar Express, but in real life. No, really. There it is. This is basically the movie. There are the only, to my knowledge, I think like one of the two big tweaks I know they did to the design of the movie. The headlight is actually sunken into the smoke box door. Looks a little bit more like number 261, Milwaukee Road 261, which that's an S3 class. They do that in the movie. They sink the headlight into the smoke box door. And also, with the exception of once, the whistle you hear in the movie is not 1225s. Most of the time when you hear the whistle, it's Sierra Railroad number 3, which there's a reason. It's kind of it's an Easter egg, inside joke. Robert Zemeckis directed the Polar Express. Robert Zemeckis also directed the Back to the Future trilogy. Back to the Future Part 3, the steam locomotive in there is Sierra Railroad number 3. So it's the same steam engine whistle from Back to the Future Part 3. That's why. And Wrangler has popped in with a work with me, mouse, with a 420. Thank you for tuning in, Wrangler. We're glad you're able to join us here to talk about the real Polar Express. See, it's real. It's right there. You believe. The movie's all about believe, and the book's all about believe. And, do you believe? There it is. I believe it's really there. It's really there. Also of interesting notes, I didn't really put this in the notes. The North Pole that you see in the movie is heavily inspired by the architecture of the Pullman factory that made all those passenger cars back in the day, some of the best passenger cars for railroads. The Pullman factory was the basis for the architecture you see of the North Pole in Polar Express. So, man, why is my nose itchy? I'm sorry about that, guys. My nose is itchy. Probably because I got the heater. We have cranked to 75. It is freaking cold out. And unfortunately, how my studio room, whatever you want to call it, is set up it's kind of like octagonal on the one corner here. This is like a Victorian turret of some type. So, and all the wind comes here and hits it right on the turret. So there's no way to really trying to heat this room sucks. And also trying to keep it cool in the summer sucks. Just not good air ventilation whatsoever. So yeah. That's my rant about ranting. Okay, back to the stream. We'll get back to the stream. I'll get back to telling the story of the Polar Express. And ever since then, Perry Marquette 1225 has been a staple of the Great Lake region's holiday season, just running annually, with the exception of some FRA mandated inspection. I think what was that back in 2013 or 2012? It underwent that. And then, of course, some other issues that had to be repaired. Unfortunately, 2024, this year, it is not operating. It's having, if I recall correctly, it's having an issue with its superheating converter. So you can't really run too well right now. So, and that's unfortunate because they were actually running excursions in the fall with seemingly no problem. But this just recently developed this week. They found this issue, and it's too far into the season now to really try to fix it. It requires some time in the shop. So unfortunately, you cannot ride the Polar Express this year. Not the real Polar Express, but I mean including the Steam Railroad Institute. They're gonna still run their Christmas trains. It'll just be a diesel that's pulling it. So if there's a railroad near you, consider going. Especially if it's like one of your heritage railroads. They're almost always, most of them are volunteer ran. This is their big time of the year. The Christmas season, doing the Santa train. So if there's one in the area, got a family, like the movie, don't like the movie, you'll like trains. Go support your local railroad. That's my declaration here at Redoubt Productions. Come on, Santa on a plane. That's lame. Santa on a train's much cooler. Of course, the best Santa is Santa Claus, Santa riding a boogie woogie choo choo train. See the song, see the tractors knew. They knew it was the best way to ride trains. That they wrote a song. They wrote 2 songs about how great a boogie woogie choo choo train is. Yeah, I went there. Does anybody even know who the Tractors are? I made a reference to the Tractors. That's how far I'm gone tonight. That's how far I've gone down the rabbit hole. But yeah, that's the story of the real Polar Express. There really isn't much to it. I mean, that's what's interesting about 1225 Perry Marquette. Most of its history is excursions, running, themed excursions, special excursions across the United States, particularly around the Great Lakes region. Its actual revenue operating service, when it was, pulling freight, pulling regular passenger trains, that was only 10 years. If you count 85, 95, 5, 15, basically 40 years of it's had a 50-year lifespan of actually running. 4/5 of it have been as a historical artifact. That's pretty interesting, I think, because most of these, steam locomotives, they run for years upon years until they go into the ground, they go in the rust yard for years. And then, it's only relatively recently they've been pulled out. No, not this one. This one's like, I've always been. Everybody knew the 1225 was awesome before they even knew it was awesome. They just always knew it was awesome. It's like, nah, we're coming here for the awe of Perry Marquette 1225. So yeah, the story's pretty short, sweet, and simple, but I figured it was worth mentioning. I don't know how many people in the chat or are watching the recap that knew that. No, literally the Polar Express, the whole idea of the movie, the book, this whole idea of this locomotive, the physical locomotive existed. And there's been some mythology about its numerical designation. Some say that's why it was preserved. It really had nothing to do with it. Again, it was simply because it was the easiest to access out of the scrap line. And the CNO are like, we're not going to waste time to pick through it. Here, this is your locomotive, Michigan State. There you go. And it just so happened by accident that, hey, look, it's going to become tied to a Christmas property. And look, it's numerical designation, same numbers as the date of Christmas. It all worked out in the end. That it probably was a sign from the railroad gods when it rolled off the floor in Lima. They're like, you will be preserved. You are the Christmas train. We have dubbed thee. Oh, I'm glad you now know. And knowing is half the battle. We do have a few other things I want to talk about before the night wraps up. However, it is going to be a relatively short stream, guys. Again, you saw that we had a late start time, so you could probably figured what's going to happen once I hit the leave studio button. I'm gonna pass out right over there. Oh, but there's cats over there. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how I'm gonna lay on there, but you see the cat, yeah. Them cats can be very dangerous sometimes. If you roll ever so slightly as an inch, they may just come and just bite your foot off. Or they may try to knock your bookshelf over. Yeah, they may do that. They may do that as well. All right, what else do we got to talk about tonight? Oh, speaking about the Steam Railroad Institute, since they've kind of taken on a life of their own ever since they brought 1225 back to operating condition, they're one of the leading railroad heritage entities out there. So let's head over to their website. Join us. I would, but you're in Michigan and I'm in Pennsylvania, and that's pretty far. Okay, reading through our mission. Visit us. So they do have actually a museum of sorts that you can go visit. This is the steam back shop that I was talking about earlier, where they stow 1225 in the off season. So let's read a little bit about it. Situated on the site of the former Ann Arbor Railroad steam shops and roundhouse in Owasso, Steam Railroad Institute's mission is to educate the public about steam-era railroading in Michigan and the Great Lake area. From individuals to large groups of school children, Steam Railroad Institute is open to the public on select days from April to September for visits and tours. Once you enter, check in at the Welcome Center. Be sure to browse the gift shop full of Steam Railroad Institute and Perry Marquette 1225 souvenirs, as well as a host of other fun railroad-related toys and specialty gifts. Welcome Center is also housing exhibits, a model railroad layout, and SRI's collection of artifacts and archival material. Volunteer tour guides will escort visitors through the entire museum to get a unique behind-the-scenes look at the equipment and collection that is rarely accessible during our scheduled events and excursions. The highlight of tour is a visit to our back shop where 1225 is housed when not operating. Visitors will get a first-hand look at what it takes to restore, maintain, and operate railroading equipment from the olden age of steam. And I have to turn that off for a moment because, gosh, my nose. Why is my nose so ishy? Ishy. Is that a word? Chat, is ishy a word? Please tell me it is. I'm hoping it's a Japanese word. At least it'd be some type of word. Well, like last week, I had the issue of I don't know what it was with my eye. It was like a sty or some sort of infection of the eye. It wasn't pink eye. I know it wasn't pink eye. I wasn't sick or anything. It was just the corner of the eye just got irritated one day and it swelled up during Thanksgiving. And then it just kept going through the weekend. And it hurt like hell Sunday into Monday. The swelling was gone by Sunday, but it hurt like hell, like somebody had punched me. And then it's kind of gone. It's scabbed over, and now it's fully back to itself today. So I guess that issue is migrated from my eye to my nose. Great. Ishy and scratchy are words. Okay, good. I'm safe. I'm safe. That's not what I wanted to do. How's everybody like my logo? Everybody like the logo? Good. You like the logo? Does the StreamYards like the logo? I hope StreamYards likes the logo. All right. Moving down further. So yeah, they have a museum, a small museum. It's only open for, basically it's a by appointment basis. But, they got this lovely 7.5-inch gauge miniature railroad. Miniature railroad and miniature. But it's down for maintenance. Down for maintenance. Everything's down for maintenance. In all seriousness, though, they do a wide variety of events across the Great Lakes region. You could, if you go right now on YouTube, actually after the stream's over, recommend just go type in Steam Railroad Institute. You're going to get a myriad of wonderful, high quality excursions that you're going to get to see videos of 1225, just pulling all sorts of loads across the countryside. Highly recommend checking it out. Check their news. Consumers Energy donates vintage locomotive. Okay, that was last year. So this is their news. They're also working on, let me actually take you over to their equipment page. They own more than 1225. 1225 is the centerpiece, of course. There's 1225 in all its glory. They're working on restoring a second steam locomotive. They've been working on this since 2017. This is Chicago Northwestern 175. It's a 460. It was built sometime it's built in 1908. It's an Alco locomotive, and it was used in Michigan's Upper Peninsula region. And it actually, it had a far longer operational life than 1225, 1908, all the way through the early 50s. And it goes down in detail. So, yeah, they recently acquired this locomotive. They've been working for years to try to bring this back. But again, it's hard. It's hard to build a steam locomotive. It's hard to restore a steam locomotive. It's really freaking hard to operate a steam locomotive while also trying to restore a second steam locomotive. It's just it's a money pit. You do it because you love it and nothing else. The only thing you're getting back is the joy of basically bringing something mechanical to life. Because I'm one of them nerds that fully say a steam locomotive is the closest humanity has come to making a live machine. Cars, maybe a second. The steam locomotive is over it, for obvious reasons in my mind. And they have a few other locomotives here. These are some of their diesel locomotives that help them out. Mighty Mouse. There's the Mighty Mouse, 25-tonner. And then they have a wide variety of passenger cars, including some ex-Perry Marquette parlors. They have a Canadian National car. A lot of these are painted in Chesapeake and Ohio, yellow and blue. Oh, they have an old Santa Fe transition car. You don't see those anymore. Northern Pacific dining car. A lot of these are streamlined cars from the 50s. Bud Company car. This is cool. Perry Marquette in Detroit and Mackinac Troop Sleepers. I don't know if you can't really see the image too well, but I'll read down here in the description. In late 1943, the U.S. Office of Defense Transportation contracted the Pullman Company to build 2,400 troop sleepers due to a shortage of sleeping cars brought about during the Second World War. These cars carried soldiers in a cheap, noisy, rough-riding alternative to passenger-type sleeping cars, but with the services of a Pullman porter. The soldiers slept in 24 free-high bunks. Troop cars saw service through 1947, after which many were sold by the U.S. Army Transportation Corporation. No, U.S. Army Transportation Corps, read out. Oh, I'm so tired. Many railroads subsequently converted them into mail cars, express box cars, box or refrigerator cars, cabooses, or camp cars. Perry Marquette 361 was purchased as war surplus in 1949, who converted to a baggage car by plating over the windows and adding a baggage door. It was used by the Perry Marquette successor, the C&O, and later the chassis system. It made its way service until 1985. Same year, 1225 was restored, when it was donated to the then Michigan State Trust for Railway Preservation. It's currently used as the tool car, both at the Steam Railroad Institute and out on the road with 1225. That's cool. So they got these. Basically, these were trooper sleepers that were reused later after the war. That I'd like to go see that. And there's some of the freight cars they got. Assortment, different guys. So yeah, they got a large collection of artifacts. That's what these are at the end of the day. You know, they're train equipment and they're also artifacts. These are historical relics. So it's not just about the steam locomotive. We always get hyped up about the steam, what's pulling the train. We don't usually think about where's everybody riding and where's all of our goods being pulled in them. Those have equal value in a train. Well, okay, they have slightly less value because the steam trains are just that cool. So I'm going to drop a link there in the chat if you want to go and explore all about the Steam Railroading Institute and about the Real Polar Express. They own it. They own the Real Polar Express. It's here. It's there. It's there in Michigan. See? And Fu Man Blue has joined us. Thank you for joining here on the night that my brain dies, apparently. It is. It is sparking. It is smoking. It is not good. It does not look good up in here. That's why I got this nice big Western Maryland hat on to conceal the disaster happening in my brain. And I mentioned earlier, I have to read this because it shows you the struggles that a lot of these heritage railroads go through. We're talking, when I say heritage railroad, I'm talking about a railroad that really is running just to give people the experience of what riding the rails was like back in the heyday. And it's, more for the nostalgia. It's more for the novelty than the actual, and it's for the preservation of this form of passage rather than, we're making a big profit. So let's head over to the Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad. Yeah, we're hopping all the way from the Great Lakes. We're heading over to the Northwest. Why not? These guys, I've actually been recommending them before by some of our viewers, and I've known about them for quite a while. Of course, just like any other small railroad right now, they're running their Christmas trains. It's their busiest time of year. Unfortunately, the other night, Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad had a bit of a situation, and I'm just going to read it because this is one of the posts. There is no shame, by the way, what happened. It's just one of them bad timing moments. Can I find a way to get this? Okay, that's better. Okay, here we are. Let me read the whole post. Keeping it real, we just ran the world's ugliest doubleheader. No, don't say that. And you're not even seeing this. You're not even seeing the page. Wow. You're not even seeing the street. Yeah. Rip readout spray. That's what you're seeing right now. The end of my brain. I didn't even share the gosh darn page. Where the hell are you? There you are. Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad. Okay. Keeping it real, we just ran the world's ugliest doubleheader. Don't be that harsh on yourself. I like this. Well, why is the F unit facing that way? We'll explain that in a moment. From the very start, we promised to be open and honest about what it takes to restart a railroad. That means sharing both our triumphs and our trials. We celebrate over 4,000 happy passengers this weekend. It was one of the toughest yet for our crew. Friday night, a leak in the plan. During the last trip to the North Pole, the gasket between the steam engine's throttle, packing box, and boiler started to leak. Well, this wasn't an immediate danger. It wasn't something we could ignore. We took the engine out of service and let it cool down enough for repairs. A necessary but difficult decision. Here's the thing. We're running an incredibly stupid business model. We have one working steam engine. It's a bit of technology deemed too pernisky to make a profit 80 years ago, and we're running without a good backup plan. Really need the 5 done stat. Yeah, it's for the love and nothing else. Historical preservation. The F unit, which has been on the downhill end of the Polar Express trademark. Do you like the trademark? The Polar Express trademark train ride. It's not facing the right direction to be able to pull the train to the North Pole. We have an Alco, but at only 600 horsepower. For comparison, 1225, 5,000 horsepower. That's 600. That steam is king. And not in mint condition. It's not exactly built for hauling 5 cars up and down the grade here, but we pressed it into service on the uphill end with a bit of a push from the F unit. Saturday, frozen tanks and full steam ahead. According to our operation manager, Rowdy, Saturday night went just fine. According to our executive director turned conductor, yeah, I can relate in some ways. not working for a railroad, not working for a heritage railroad, but working for a museum, working for like an historical society. Yeah. You have your executive director over there, overseeing everything. Next moment, they're pulling a cannon with you. It just happens sometimes. According to our executive director turned conductor, who had used some brute force to unlodge some frozen, you know what that emoji is, from the holding tank lines to get to back. Oh no. Oh, the lines froze on the bathrooms. It was a bit shitty. All in all, diesels did their thing. Sunday, the Alco's last stand. By Sunday, the Alco had given its all. After several full throttle runs, it decided to retire mid-shift. Effectively turned itself into an overpriced boat anchor. Oh no. This left us in a tricky spot. The F unit was still facing the wrong direction, thanks to a washout on the Y, and positioned downhill at the rear of the train. But our crew is nothing to not resourceful. At the North Pole, we quickly repositioned the F unit behind the Alco, with the Alco controlling the brakes and providing the engineer a clear view of the tracks. The F unit supplied all the power needed to pull the train. Damn. That is some ingenuity on the fly. So essentially, guys, the locomotive that you're seeing up front there, that's the Alco they're talking about. It's dead. It's dead. And the problem is the F unit, which is the guy back there, and you probably recognize what an F unit is. Here's watch Silver Streak. Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor. Okay. You watch Silver Streak. Okay. This train that's in Silver Streak, the locomotives, those are F units. Pretty positive they're F units. They're very similar design. Anyways, they have that nice streamline, it kind of comes with a nice smooth nose on the front. Those are F units or equivalents of it. You're supposed to have the nose facing forward, and you can see because they don't have used to a Y track to turn it around. It had to face in reverse. The F unit is actually pulling the whole train and providing power to the Alco. The Alco is really just there for the conductor to see it. The engineer to see everything, what's ahead of them on the line. And is also, they're running the brake lines. They're running the electricity from the F unit into the Alco. It is a sight to behold. Yeah, Ben Wheels. Yes, those are the images that the Mount Rainier Railway has experienced this past weekend. Okay, I got to finish up the story. Teamwork behind the scenes. While the trains kept running, additional crew members worked tirelessly in the shop to repair the steam engine. It was a full team effort with constant communication between the engineers, conductors, and shop staff to keep everything moving safely and smoothly. A hard-fought weekend. This weekend was not without its challenges, but we're incredibly proud of our crew for rising to the occasion. To our passengers, thank you for your patience and support. We hope you enjoyed the magic of the season, despite a few bumps on the track. Here's to the perseverance of our team and to brighter days. And to the foamers and photographers alike that were out taking pictures, we're so sorry you had to see this. Oh, come on. This image tells a story. And whoever's like the social media coordinator for this railroad, they're absolute bosses because this picture tells a story. And yeah, the story is right over here. Don't feel bad, guys. It happens. Shit happens. And just be happy you guys were able to pull the train. Because there's some places I know that the locomotive's done. We're getting off here. See, it wasn't like planes, trains, and automobiles. Steve Martin and John Candy didn't have to start strutting out into the countryside because the train just died. They truly are. The Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad crew, they are legends. And I'm going to go over and tell you what, for the night's over, I'm going to go get their link. I wasn't even I saw this yesterday, and it was one of them. It was one of those stories that made my day. I'm not laughing at them oh, look how bad it is. No, I am laughing with them because I've not worked for a heritage railroad, but I have worked in historical preservation. I've had similar situations where just everything falls apart. Everything implodes, and you're just like, just keep going. Just keep the show going. The public will not know anything is failing. And we can actually just read a little bit here. I'm over on, you won't see it. I'm over on the Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad page. I'm going to read a little blurb from it. I know you're not seeing it. You're seeing the image of what the Mount Rainier Railroad claims is the world's worst consist. It is not. It is the most interesting consist of 2024. There's the link, by the way, if you want to go and read a little more about these ruffians, these hard knuck preservationists on the Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad. Western Forest Industries Museum is a local non-for-profit organization that assumed ownership of the Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad in August of 2022 after its closure by its former for-profit operator, American Heritage Railway. Since 1980, the railroad has carried over 1.6 million passengers and has played a critical role in the economic vitality of southern Pierce County and in the preservation of local history. Our organization has an even bigger vision for the railroad, one that is dependent on many stockholders, as well as the collective knowledge and expertise of our community. So yeah, Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad, our hats go off to you here at Readout Productions. You keep going for the holiday season. We believe in you. We believe in you. And that, guys, is going to bring us to the end of our stream. I told you guys it was going to be a short one this week. Hey, but look, we're in the holiday spirit. I put the stockings up. They're back up. I also, when I was like scrambling to get the stream up and running, I figured I got home 6:30 and I'm like, okay, got an hour. We should have no problem. I made the notes earlier today for the stream and everything, probably against my college judgment, considering there is an essay due tomorrow night. This is more fun. So, we got the stockings up and I'm like, I got time, it's going to be fine. And then time just went. It disappeared. Or it's also because I was really grody and I really wanted to, get a little dressed up. I was pretty haggard when I came home. I'm still pretty haggard, to be honest. I threw on a freaking Western Maryland truckers railroad hat. Well, it's a Western Maryland railroad, but it's a trucker's hat. It's the whole thing. I was haggard, lost track of time, and then I was scrambling. And then I found one of the funny reels from last Christmas for our Uncut History stream. So I threw that up. So if you were here for the first 5 minutes today on the stream, and you're like, what are all these segments? I used to throw them up in the past on Uncut History when I was like running late or kind of entertain the crowd as I was trying to get links ready. I haven't done it for a while, partly because they usually get copyright strike, but I needed it today. And maybe I'll make a new Christmas funny reel for the next coming weeks. But yeah, I will just mention you guys, there's not going to be a retracing history or any video upload this weekend. I've been very busy. I'm probably going to be hitting the road here shortly again to get some videos shot. I don't know necessarily if they're going to come out before the holiday. They may actually be more for after the holiday. I'm going to have a Christmas video. There will be a Christmas retracing history. I have a couple of options as to what it can be. There's something I want to do that'll be directly about Christmas. And then there's the other plan, which is a long overdue episode of Retracing History, like one I shot in March, but due to Mother Nature pouring upon me and a humble collector, it has been in the It's been on the back burner. That's my B plan for a holiday video. Those that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But before we leave tonight, consider hitting that like button down below. Let the algorithm of the tube you and the green page know you do like coming to this channel and you want to see more from this channel. And you just in general want to use social media, not just for, just for self-inflicted brain rots. You want to do it because you want to learn something. You want to get something out of watching these videos. This could be educational. Entertainment and education can go hand in hand. So by hitting the like button, you let the algorithms of all the websites know that, entertainment and education go hand in hand. And you do want to be educated. And what is my cat doing? What? See, it's the evil one. I'm a little scared. I'm scared she's going to bite my ankle. If you want to be the first notified when a new video comes out from here to Read Out Productions, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to go the extra mile supporting me, you can go to our Ko-fi page, links in the description below. And that is where you can join the Garrison for a small monthly fee. And by joining the Garrison, you will get access to select scripts from videos and live streams, including tonight's live stream that they're over there right now. Oh God, I don't even want to know how that would go, skunks. Nah, our pets, they don't do well with putting cute things on them. Nah, that don't end well. So you can join the Garrison, get access to select scripts from our videos, including tonight's stream. You can see backstage, behind the scenes images and videos. And I'm trying to build up some more bonuses for our Garrison as we go through the months and the years. And you'll have my unyielding thanks and gratitude for supporting us here. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to see you next time. Can I do a smooth outro too? No, I can't. I have to upload this as well. Okay. Can I have the smooth outro? Why won't you give me the smooth outro? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with StreamYards? That's the parting question. Oh, nah, I'm not getting fooled. I just remembered we're not done yet. I set out something earlier tonight. I'm not going to be proven wrong. No. I'm going over to the chat and look what I did. To the 77% of you that said I wouldn't do it. Boo. I think I have a clip for to the 77% that said I couldn't do it. And for the 22% that knew deep down that I could do it.
Fuck you! I was right! Fuck you! I was right! Fuck you!
Yes, I have achieved one thing today, and I ended an actual poll. Good night, everybody.
It's the wonder of nature, baby!